Well, we're going to expand this conversation around the ease of doing business, the latest positive ranking of Nigeria by the World Bank. Let's get this conversation. Let's continue that with Frank Ojadi, who is a faculty member of the Lagos Business School. Let's talk him through infrastructure side of things. Good morning.
Morning. It's
good to have you. Very interesting conversation. And you think this latest ranking is good news for Nigeria?
Yeah, very much so. Given that we are coming up from a much more lower figure to 145. It's really, in my view, a new beginning, given that of the 8 or 10 parameters that are being used to access the doing business thing, that we've done so well in these 5 items. But I think we should not really rest on our oars. Certain areas also need quite a lot of quantum jump. And these areas naturally include the infrastructure area. If you look at one of those aspects, doing business across border, trading across borders, it's really talking about quite a lot of need to strengthen those areas and get them off the track. And that brings us squarely into the area of ports and the roads that enable you get things to the port and then get them out and also get things into the country via the ports.
One of the things the administration, well, a few things the administration has been trying to tinker with over the last 1 year, how to, there is shortage of money, oil prices went down, tax revenue is not coming as speedily as we would want it. So we're still scratching the recession beyond the surface. So the government needs money, it needs all the partnership, it needs all the handshake it could get to get the critical road and rail infrastructure up and running. But part of what the World Bank highlighted was the dealing with construction permits, which is also very key in terms of infrastructure because it's construction. Speak to us on this.
Well, if you delay the mechanisms and the processes that enable you get a permit to get into construction, it naturally will delay the delivery of the project. That's right. And that means simply that you're not going to really realize what it is that you've set out to do. Now, what is also very interesting in this area of getting the permit is simply that once you get all the mechanisms in place, then those who are coming into control have all the confidence that things are now moving. You can come in. It's not just construction of infrastructure activities, even factories and so on that you really need to use to really assets and so on. You really need to produce. They are also part and parcel of all these issues associated with getting a permit. So I think the speed with which that takes place is really a mark of how determined and how well positioned we are in trying to attract.
If you've taken local or foreign loan and you want to set up factory, you don't get permits on time, you've imported machinery, you've bought land, you've paid, but there's no permit to build, and it's been delayed.
Well, you're not going to build, and those things will rot away. And then keep in mind that quite often, if you get in these machineries and you still keep them in the containers, they're certainly not going to, they will depreciate pretty fast. So I think it's a very key aspect of this. Now, turning our focus then to issues to do with physical infrastructure, transport infrastructure like road and co. What comes to mind is that...
Are you encouraged, I'm going to respectfully cut in there, are you encouraged by the draft national transport policy?
Yeah, we think that it's a step in the right direction, but we still need to, usually we generate very good policies, but it is at the implementation stage that we run into problems. And I think that's the area we need to pay particular attention to, as to how we get these things off the ground and get them implemented properly.
One of the issues in the news over the last few days, which is still current, is the road trust funds by the Ministry of Finance.
That's right.
Proposal to the cabinet, which has been accepted. Now we're looking at its implementation. What's your thought on this?
I think it's also another policy in the right direction, but it's drawing a lot of flack from people. But I would like to distance myself from some of these serious criticisms for the simple reason that, take it this way. Take the road construction, the Wharf Road, for instance, that Dangote is handling in conjunction with Flamia. That's one in the series of these activities. The Industrial Advisory Council that actually advised on this Road Trust Fund made it very clear that this is not only exclusive to Dangote. It is really open to any industrial setup that wishes to get in there. But then put yourself in the position of Dangote. You have a huge asset at the port. And then the process from this, the products from this asset need to move through this road to get to the market. How will you feel that you get produced and you're not able to get those things out? So I think we need to look at this from the win-win point of view, not really the point of view of saying, hey, listen, this guy is getting quite a lot and so on from the government. I don't think it's exactly that.
Because if you produce cement and you can't get it to the port because the roads are bad, then the cements get bad.
That's right.
And that's a lot of money. If for example, Dangote wants to export cement to other part of West Africa, which, of course, the companies say, well, they're going to do, and ramp up on, if the roads and the bridges around the Apapa axis all the way here in Lagos, and then that's a serious waste of money and investment. Yeah,
and in fact, those talking or criticizing this heavily must understand that a lot of imports go through these roads. And that immediately hikes up the transportation fare. Now, one interesting feature is simply that when trailers, if you rent or if you engage a truck driver to come into the port to move things, he agrees a fee with you. He quietly gets into the port. It could take him a week or two to get right into the port. But the moment he gets in there, he doesn't look at you anymore. He tells you clearly, that fee you arranged with me is no longer tenable. So I am just a bride here. Whoever pays the highest fee is the guy I'm going to position to move his cargo. So the transport fare goes up very significantly due to the bad road. So somebody has to fix this thing. And if the government doesn't have money to get it fixed, all it's doing is to really engage the private sector to come in and play this game. Now, in that engagement, there could be two aspects of it. One is if you are really rolling out a PPP, then you must come up with the modalities, the thing, and then the bidding and stuff